All right, guys, welcome back to Empire Connecting. I'm your host, Andy O'Rourke, and today we're doing a different style interview like you've guys seen. Today I have Anthony from WTN. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Andy. I saw your little message you tagged me in on Facebook and I thought I'd reach back out and it seems like a fun little thing you got going on.
Yes, it is. So why don't you tell the viewers how you got started with WTN? I read a little bit that you were a photog. Now you're a full-time reporter and anchor, so let's dive right into it.
Yeah, so I did 2 years of college at Fulton Montgomery for digital multimedia. So that was all behind the camera, specifically photography and some art in there. Then what happened was I did an internship at the Senate here in the New York State for Senate Media Services. So I did video work for senators. They would come in or we would go film stuff for them, go out of the legislative office building. And from there, I got my job at News 10 as a photographer. And I didn't know I wanted to be on air until about a couple months into the job. I was working with reporters and I just saw what they were doing and how I was helping them do their job by being behind the camera. And I decided that I saw myself as more of somebody in front and also behind. So I wanted to try to put myself in front and be a reporter. And after 6 months of making my own packages, a year in the position, I got changed over to reporters, more of an MMJ role, but yeah.
So can you tell the viewers what MMJ is? Because most people don't know. They think it's with anchors, reporters, but we know in the field what it is.
Yeah, so an MMJ is a multimedia journalist, which is a fancy word for saying that you're doing two jobs under the role of one. But it doesn't all, I know it sounds bad from somebody externally from the field looking at that and hearing that title, but it's not always has to be a bad thing. So I film my own interviews, I film my own on camera presence, I edit it all myself, I write it all myself, and then I present it either live in studio or I just record my voice and there it goes. So there's no photographer, there's no just reporter. It's all tied into one. And I did that role specifically, even though it's reporter slash MMJ as it's called. I did the multimedia journalist role for pretty much a full year because I had the experience behind the camera, so I had to prove myself in front of the camera. And it makes you a strong reporter, even though you have the same responsibilities and expectations as somebody who has a photographer. You still have to hit that and reach that, and it really makes you very quick and witty at your job and in your writing styles too.
What's your favorite story you've covered here in the capital region, either as an anchor or photographer?
Yeah, so definitely my realm of stuff that I like is more of the gaming, video game sort of stuff. And I think the first story I ever did in that realm, there was a Scrabble tournament at one of the local hotels or places like that in the Colony area. I think it's called Let's Play Scrabble, or it's like Let's Play something is what it was. And it was when I was still new and I was MMJing at the time. And I remember just whispering in my stand up, not too quietly, but like just enough so I wouldn't interrupt everybody's game going on because I wanted to have them all behind me. And that was a fun one. Another similar one is I did the local library system here. They were doing trading cards, and so I bought a box of Magic the Gathering cards because that's what they based the designs off of. And the PR person actually helped me because I was working solo. And so I did this. The stand up was super. It was my stand up me on camera. It was super zoomed in on my hands on the card packs, and I would rip it, and you could hear it like open, and the PR person zoomed out, and I would talk and do my thing. So those are some fun little ones that I'd like to do.
So you said you're into board games. I've done my research, and now you've started a new thing on Channel 10 Digital Plus. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so what has now become Bits and Boards, which is more of a podcast on the local esports and the video game tabletop scene, board games, all that sort of stuff. It really goes back a year ago to I wanted to do a once a week little package, kind of like how Pet Connection started, and just put it in like the sports block or just put it somewhere in that realm and just highlight one of the tournaments or with what's happening with the local college and their esports. I wouldn't say that I'm a big watcher of esports myself, but I do like games and I have seen clips of bigger tournaments and stuff like that. So I wanted to capture that and take my curiosity and make it into something. It took a while for it to find a spot on News 10, and it ended up becoming what it is now because we launched our CTV program, which is like you said, it's a streaming software. It's not on News 10 Waves. It's on its own little thing on TV apps and stuff like that and YouTube, and I get to sit down. I sat down with Russell Sage before I went on vacation, and I also sat down with a local tabletop card developer. He made a game called Beep Beep Boom, which is like Minesweeper, if you're familiar with that, but in a tabletop format, which is kind of odd to think about switching that sort of a game over. But that's what it's become, and it's kind of like a once a week thing right now, is what it's what's morphing to be.
Where can people find that? Correct.
So the WTEN Plus app it's on your smart TVs, so Roku. It's coming to Samsung. I think it's on Apple already. And then these are also posted to YouTube. So the WTEN, the News 10 YouTube channel, it's all on there. And you can find if you type in bits and boards or if you go on WTN Plus, it pops up somewhere on there.
Yeah, or on your social media. I
Oh
saw
yeah.
a few teasers. I'm super excited to watch. Now, what do you do in the community when you're not reporting, not behind the camera?
I try to do MC events and most of the time when I'm MCing, so hosting, it's in a free capacity. I've done a couple where it's more entertainmenty, where it has been a paid experience where I get to be there and really be involved and engaged. You can see my one of my little cats has joined us to listen in. But I like doing stuff like that and really getting to learn what people are doing and highlighting and celebrating with people who are hosting events. Sometimes it's something like I said, the one that I got paid for, Capital Land. It was a PC gaming convention where people go, they bring their desktop computers and they play with people. There's tournaments, there's events, and I got to be a part of that. I hosted their trivia. I did a live kind of commentary on their Wii bowling tournament of all things, if you can imagine. And they had a couple other little tournaments, and it's fun stuff like that. I'm hosting the Fulton Montgomery Pride out in FMCC, the community college, this coming. I know it's going to air a little bit later past it, but coming up on our time right now on the Sunday, and doing a little pet competition or pet costume competition over at Rocks in Albany. So I like doing stuff like that where I get to be kind of like a talent or an entertainment person and be involved and have some laughs and share some stories with the people around me.
Yes, and we know how you're very passionate for the LGBTQ community here in the capital region. You did a story on one of our great organizations we follow, Lower Adirondack Pride. Shout out to Cam Cardinelli.
Yeah, Cam has always turned out for me when I needed a story, I needed an interview. Being somebody who's gay myself and my boyfriend actually we moved out here to the capital region for my job as a photographer when we weren't together for that long. And he's somebody who's really supported me for what makes me happy and the stuff that I like to do and certainly in an extent telling those sort of stories. But I found myself pitching when I first started when Pride was starting up. I went out to his Cam's area and we did one of their first backup prides that they did when Lowrider Pride was becoming a thing again. And that was my first step into that sort of the realm. And then since then, I've done some other stories when it comes to gender affirming care and Cam and some other people, like North Country Gender Alliance, were part of those conversations. And I want to say, unfortunately, I haven't done as much of those stories now. For a variety of reasons. Either there's other stories that have come up that newsrooms decided it's more pressing, or just hasn't gone through the pitching process and been accepted. But I will say I have been a little disappointed that I haven't been able to do really any of those stories this year.
Yeah, I know. I saw your first story when you did the story with Cam in front of City Hall with the flag, and
Mhm.
that was just a very powerful piece. And then I've watched you grow on social media, and you've been killing it. You've been anchoring, filling in as the nighttime anchor, at Facebook Lives, people that are great to get the behind the scenes of the news, meteorologist Jordan Go, Tommy Valentine. You get it all at WTN Nightside with Anthony. Where can people find you on social media to get behind the scenes?
Yeah, so my I have like 7, 8 different profiles. They're all the same handle, which is right now it's just at AK10, the numbers 10 ABC. And I go live on Facebook. I could go live on TikTok and stuff like that, but I feel like Facebook is more of our local people who watch the news and the audience that the audience that we have that watches the news, the nightly news, is more the people who I feel use Facebook. So that's why I go live on there. Um, I don't know the next time I will be filling in, which is when I do the behind the scenes stuff. I don't know if you saw Vanessa Blasi just got promoted to the weekend anchor position for Nightside. So I'll still be filling in whenever they need me or ask me to. But right now we have 2 weekend anchors set to go. So those lives won't be happening as often, but I still do have the opportunities to do them.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining the Empire Connection. You can follow him on social media, like he said, or get to know him by going to news10.com. Reporting live for the Empire Connection, Andy O'Rourke.
Thanks, Andy.